Alright, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I have been going over a series of video presentations that I've been making based on the Rankin Technical College Application and Web Development AWD1111.NET Framework with Web Databases class, and the textbook that we're using for the class, ASP.NET MVC with Entity Framework and CSS. I was having problems, so I went back and was going over my code, and I realized this here that says attach DB file name should have been one word, but unfortunately I originally had it as two words in my connection string. So right there, that was in there as two words. Once I made it one word and I went back in again and ran the program, I now was able to go in and create a new category. So there was, I think we were supposed to create clothes, toys, and feeding. So I was just going to throw those in there. And feeding. Alright, so they're in there now. Now I think that if I click on any of the, let's see if we come in here and we do details 1, we get close, which we should do. Alright, we know the create works. I can edit it. Okay, and you see that that worked. I'm not, let's put in a bogus one. We'll put in one just called test. We'll create it. There it is. We'll edit it. And save it. Alright, we'll look at the details. And that's all that's in there, so, and we'll see if we can delete it. No, I don't want to delete that one. I want to delete test edited. So it all appears to work. That's great. All right. Now, can we go into our products? And can I create a new product? Well, you notice the category ID is now set up. Let's just put in test product. This is a test. We will make it $99.99. We'll leave the category. We'll set it to something else. How about the toys? And we'll create. That looks like it worked. Okay. Can we edit test product edited? This is an edited test product. That's actually pretty big. Let's just change this to product edited. And about edited test product, we'll make it $9.99, and we'll change it from toys to feeding. And you'll notice, looks good to me. Details, they're all there. And delete, and it's gone. All right, fantastic. So everything appears to be working. So it was one very small little thing in there that was keeping that from working. And that's on me. All right. So let's go back to here. Let's stop the run. Close that down as well. All right. I apologize for that, but hey, it's life, right? So, if I look in here under Store Context, let's refresh because I had that. Okay, so let's look under Tables. There's Categories. And it should have, hopefully, my 3 categories in there. Okay, that's just the schema. So let's close that schema. Right mouse click and show the table data. And you'll notice it's in there. Now, it has the schema for the products. So I can open the table definition. But since I don't have any products in there right now, when I go over to show the table data, of course, it is not showing anything, which is to be expected. All right. But I was able to go in, and as they showed in here, I fixed my connection string, so that was the whole problem in here. You know, I like doing this. I'm not saying I like making mistakes, but I like doing this because much better to make the mistake here than it is to make the mistake in front of a classroom of students and then having to try to figure it out. All right. So that all worked. We've gone over all of this already. Okay, we added the categories, etc. All right, then with the products, we saw that we were able to do this using the new product views. All right, category with no. Okay, so we were about right here on page 32, examining the newly created baby store database. And I just did this. I viewed the columns with you. So I showed you where it was in here. All right, so that was this. All right. And I've got store context. I guess for some reason it's not showing me the name of the database, which is interesting. But again, I'm not worried about that right now. The stuff is working correctly. That was a much bigger worry to me. All right, I did look at the details for each one of the tables. All right, now did it come in and make these constraints? That I did not check, so let's double check that. All right, primary key, that's the way it should be. And it did set up the foreign key as well. Good. All right, so this is coming along. Again, I showed you the problem in my web config file. And I was looking through a lot of this stuff, trying to figure out what the error was. And sometimes the error is right in front of your face. All right, adding some data using the views. So I did come in here and add those 3 categories. And now they want us to add some test products. So I am on page 35 of the chapter. All right, and let's come in and add these. Let's see how this works. So I've got to go back here. I will go back to, in fact, let's do this. We've done categories already, so let's go to the products page. And let's open the create page. So we will view that in the browser. Not the only way to run it, but a kind of a fast, down and dirty type of way of running it. All right, so let's come in and create these. Number 1, name red sleep suit. Description for sleeping or general wear. Price $5. Let's put 5.00 even though we don't have to. The category will be close, and we'll create. There it is. Let's create the second one. This is blue vest. And under layer for wearing below other clothing. This is $3. And it's also close. Kind of a long description, but hey, that's fine. All right, create our third one, red fluffy dog. I'm just capitalizing the first word. If it matters, I can always change it later. Makes a squeaking noise, $2, and that's under toys. Notice if I type the T in, it changed immediately for me. And finally, we've got one more, and that is, the name of this last one is 3-pack of no-leak bottles. For a cleaner feeding, a cleaner feeding time. That's $25. And that's under feeding. All right, so we now have our stuff in here, and you'll already see a possible problem. That is, notice in here that we have two things that are both named name. All right, and that isn't real good. I do want to mention one thing, okay? And that is, I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to save. I want to go back now to my products, and let's look at the data. Oh, that was the table definition. Show table data. And notice now my stuff is in here that I just added. All right. The several products, the 4 products. The red sleep suit, the blue vest, the red fluffy dog, and the 3-pack of no-leak bottles are in here. So you can see there is a communication that is definitely taking place between the database itself and the application. That's always a good sign. So each time the create button is clicked, the post version of the create method is called to save the data to the database. That's working. Once completed, the project page, products index page, should appear as shown. I just showed it to you, and it did. I also showed it to you in the database. And the author says, note, this is the top of page 36. Note, some of the default headings and labels used in the auto-generated views are not user-friendly, so I have updated them in the screenshots that follow. If you want to update them yourself, refer to the source code, which can be downloaded from APress. It's no biggie, all right? But kind of go into it right away, to be honest with you, right here, talking about data annotations. So I'm on the middle of page 36. All right, the products index page contains 2 columns named name. This is because the view uses the code display name model equal category name to display the name for the category and also the same name for the product. That's why we've got name. It says this causes confusion on the product details page. I think it does. To fix this issue, we can use a feature of ASP.NET, which we have talked about in the earlier presentations, all right, before we got into the book. But let's talk a little bit more. Again, annotations allow you to make things a little bit easier to take a look at, work with, etc. In order to be able to use data annotations, you've got to add the using system.componentModel.data annotations. So let's bring in the category.cs first. In fact, let's close a few of these things here. So the author says, go to the models category.cs. Close this too. And the first thing we want to do is we want to add that using statement right there. Now notice it's gray because we have not yet put in the annotation. All right. But we want to come in here and we want to put in that data annotation right before the category name. Now, just so you know this, and it's not a big thing one way or the other, but we can put these on, put lines between them type of thing. That makes it easier to work with. All right. Now, as soon as we did that and put in that data annotation, this is no longer gray. All right, we want to make a similar change under our products.cs file. In other words, we want to go over to products. Let me grab that again. Copy. Come on. Copy. And go to products. Let's add that up here. We don't have anything up there now, and it'll be gray again. You know that. Again, let's put in a blank line between each one of these, just in case at a later time we want to come in and we want to add. All right, we want to come in at a later time and we want to add more annotations. This will become product name. All right, so let's save everything and let's go back again to our products, and under our products, let's go to the index.cs HTML and view that in the browser. Notice now it's category name and product name, which makes it much easier for us to work with it. All right. Now, I'm not sure. Yes, I think they do. Yeah. But right now, there's no problem with what's going on here. It's looking pretty good. Looks like this, this could be spaced out a little better, but it really and truly is looking pretty good. It's doing what we want it to do. There is not what I'd call a problem, but there is a potential situation in what we have in here. And that is, if we have to regenerate our database, this stuff gets lost. Okay? Typically, when you create data annotations, what you end up doing, all right, what you end up doing when you create data annotations is instead of putting them where you're actually creating the field names themselves, you put your data annotations in a separate class. All right, so we're going to do that right now. I am going to add a new class to the models folder. So I'm going to right mouse click, add class, and we're going to call that class product metadata.cs. So product metadata.cs. All right. I think they make the D capitalized as well. And we're going to add that. All right. We've got our using statements in there. And we want to add as far as the using statement, because we're not going to need any of these, so we can remove those. All right, but we do want the using system dot component model dot data annotations. We want that. All right, so we do want that. Namespace, etc. Public class, but we're going to change this from a public class to what's called we're going to leave that there. And we're going to come up and at the top here, we're going to put in public partial. Whoops. In fact, before we even do that, let's put in a metadata. Metadata type of product metadata. Then on the next line, public partial class product with absolutely nothing in it. And I spelled partial wrong. All right, so just like that, you could put those on 2 lines like they do in the book, or leave it like that. It doesn't matter. And in here, we're putting in our tag display name equal product name public string name. What this does that you see on your screen is it declares the product class is now a partial class, meaning it's going to be split across multiple files. This data annotation at the top with the type of right here, that's used to tell .NET to apply metadata to the product class from the product metadata class, from the one down here. All right, then we have to go back up after we do this. In fact, I want to do one thing first. That is, what is it? Tools, options, environment, fonts. Is it fonts and colors? It's plenty big, but there is it general? Oh my goodness. I'll show you what I want to do very quickly. I want to add line numbers because they left. Okay. Tools, options, text editor. Tools, options, text editor. General. This is for ASP, so C# I guess probably would work. Line numbers. There we go. That way when I tell you, hey, this metadata type in line 5 goes along with this in line 9. Now that's much easier for you to see. All right, so let's save that. I want to go back and I want to bring up my product class. And this is going to change. Notice I get an error now because it says missing partial modifier. So I want to say public partial class. And again, that partial means that the class is actually being broken up over 2 different files. All right. All right, so again, I'm on page 38. Some developers, again, prefer the model classes as clean as possible, therefore preferring not to add data annotations to them. This is achieved by adding a metadata type, as they mentioned right there. Okay. This results in exactly the same code as in figure 217, or the results rather are the same, but the product class was not altered except to declare it as being partial. So this can be a useful strategy when working with classes that have been automatically created that you do not want to alter. All right, and that's just the way that the author did it. I don't think it would hurt at all if we did the other one as well, but since the author has not done it, I'm not going to do it. All right, I don't want to deviate any more from this textbook than I have to, just because of the fact that as of right now, things are working. All right, so categories in the categories index page are currently sorted by the ID property. So we'll change this to sort them alphabetically by the name property. It's a simple change. Open up our categories controller and update the index so that it does this. All right, so categories controller and update the index. So go to our controllers, open up the categories controller, find the index right there, which currently looks like this. Let's comment that out and change it to this. So how is this changed? Well, what we've done here is we've added what's referred to as a lambda expression. And we're telling it to take and list the names. All right, that's the output. And we're saying to take that and order it by that output. So we want to order it by the name. This is the first time, I believe, in this class that we've seen a lambda expression. All right. So if it works, this should now be in alphabetic order. So let's check and indeed see if it does. So I'm going to do a save all. And we're doing it by here. So let's right mouse click. And we're in the controller. So we're in categories. Let's go to categories. And let's bring up the index and let's view that in the browser. And you'll notice that it's in alphabetic order. And the thing to show you is if I come in now and create a new category and I call it alpha. And I click create, notice how it jumps right to the top. All right. Again, not like that's a big thing one way or the other, but I just wanted to mention showing you that. All right. So the code that's in here uses link. Link stands for language, thought it was line item query, but it's language item query. And it is something specific to the .NET framework where it allows you to take any collection, not just a database, but any collection and run it as though it was a database. In this case, it is a database. So again, we're using a lambda expression to specify the name column. As it said, the code then returns an ordered list of categories to the view for display. All right. Again, link stands for language integrated query built into the .NET framework. An alternative to method syntax is query syntax, which we look at in the next chapter. Now, here's the key thing. Believe it or not, we've already looked at lambdas, but we looked at them in terms of being anonymous functions in the JavaScript class. So they weren't true lambdas, I guess. But as it says, lambda expressions are anonymous functions that can be used to create delegates. In simple terms, they allow you to create an expression where the value on the left-hand side of the operator, which is that equal with a greater than sign, so up here on the left-hand side, that is what? C. It's the input parameter, and what's on the right, that is this right here, is the expression that's evaluated and returned. As it says right there, it takes a category as an input and it returns the name. So it says order them in alphabetic order. All right, which is exactly, in this case, this is exactly what we want. Now I know I'm already going, see, I'm already at 30 minutes, but I don't want to stop here. I want to finish the last 3 pages of the chapter. All right, so this last presentation for Chapter 2 will be a little longer. All right, you've seen how to create a very basic website showing 2 lists of different entities. Now we're going to add some useful functionality. We'll do this using a chosen value from the list categories to filter the list of products. To do this, we'll need to make the following changes to the code. Update the index so it receives a parameter representing a chosen category and returns a list belonging to that category, and transforms the list in the category index page into a list of hyperlinks that target the product's controller. So first, change the product controller as follows. So let's go, and for the index method, again, just because I don't like doing massive copies like this, but I just want to get this chapter finished. All right, so this is the products controller index method. All right, here was our index. There's what we changed it to. All right. This code adds a new string parameter up on top called category, and an if statement has been added to check if the string is empty. If it's not empty, the products are filtered based on what we inputted. All right, so if we did provide a category. Okay. Now, this line that's right here, they break it down. They say, well, what is this? It says we're using eager loading. I mentioned eager loading to you before. That's things that we want to have basically done at compile time. All right. And what we're doing in here in this part of the query right there, as it says, we're telling the entity framework to perform a single query to retrieve all products and also all of the related categories. Eager loading, as mentioned here, results in one trip to the database, but it may result in more complex joins that slow the process down. However, lazy loading can have several trips to the database. All right. After we go through and run that lambda expression, we are then filtering it using a where clause to match products when the name of the product's category matches the category parameter passed. So if we said the category was clothes, we only want the clothes being shown. All right. So there is an example. So we're going to try that right here. So we're going to put in this. Products, question mark, category equal clothes. So let's try that. Products, question mark, category, whoops, I think it was category equal close. Category equal close. Well, it didn't like something. Oh, I spelled products wrong. And notice we only get our close. If we did this again and put in feeding, we just get the feeding stuff. And what was the other one? There was products, there was clothes, and boy, it just escapes me right now. Toys. All right, so got everything in there. Just about finished with the chapter here. Any parameters in the targeted string part of the URL after the question mark are automatically matched to parameters. So what if we do this? What if I come in here and in the run, all right, what if I change it from toys to hello? Well, nothing matched. It works the way you would expect it to work, in other words. Now they talk about toList, and when you use toList, the key takeaway of this is this. Link does not execute the query. It's a query builder. In this case that we're working on, the query is executed after the toList is called. All right. So the author says here, and I'm on the bottom of page 41, and the author says, to finish the functionality for filtering products, we need to change the list of categories into a list of hyperlinks. In order to change this, modify the index.cshtml file, all right, for categories by updating the display as shown. So we want to go to categories, index.cshtml. So let's go to categories, stop the run here. Our index.cshtml and categories. And right now, we want to update the line for the item name, which is right here. And we want to update it like that. So the code that's shown right here uses the HTML action link helper again to generate a hyperlink with the link text being the category name targeting the index method of the product controller. That last parameter that you see there, the fourth parameter, the one with the new in there, is the value, the route value, and the category set. So basically, it's setting it up to route it correctly. All right, I took a short story, and made it long. So the result of this change is that the category index page now contains hyperlinks that pass the name of the category to the index method. What does that mean? Well, let's save this. Let's run this file, or open it, view it in the browser. And you see we've got categories index right there. And when I click on one of these, so feeding, now notice, well, I thought it was going to say here /feeding, and it didn't the way it showed it in the book. I did save, so it really should have done that. Now, let's see if we create a new one. Oh, we're in products. That's what the problem is. I want to be in categories. So let's go back to the list And instead of being in products, let's go to categories. I may have changed the wrong one in here. All right. And let's go back to the list and go to close. Okay, that looks wrong, so I want to make sure that I changed the right one before I put this one to bed here. No, I am in categories. Index.cshtml, action link. This is all correct. All right, I'm again going to come in and view this in the browser. All right, category index. The category index page now contains hyperlinks that pass the name of the category to the index method. All right, so if I click on any of these, now notice it shows us all the closed stuff. If I click here, all the feeding stuff, and if I click here, all the toy stuff. This is perfect. All right, last thing I want to do, sorry this is a long lecture, is I want to come back, and one last time I want to go into my Team Explorer, and it does say, let's see, I know that I have changed some stuff in here. Changes. All right, so I'm going to put in here version 02. Created model classes for categories and products. Created a database from these. Let's see. Learned how to enter a connection string. Learned how to modify views to correct issues associated with scaffolding. In other words, if the scaffolding wasn't complete. And let's see. And learn how to filter. That's good enough. We'll commit all. Let's go in and action. Let's look and view our history. And we see now we've got chapter 1. What can I change this? Revert, scratch, fresh, view commitment details. Can I change this from that to chapter 2 completed? All right, can I do that? And I don't know if I can do that and then commit again. Revert, amend message. Actions. Not sure if that worked or not. So let's go back to here and here, and I'm just going to look on here, and I'm going to see what happens if I refresh. Doesn't look like it took those changes, which I don't like. I wish it would have. Well, it still is okay. All right. So when we come back, we'll start on Chapter 3.